What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
I know we're past the holidays, but damn it, I'm still feeling festive. I'm just into it. All of it. The tree, the presents, the music, the glut of Star Wars toys that are killing retail just begging to be thrown into the incinerator. If you think I'm joking, well,
I never joke about my work, 007.
it's no longer speculation. It's no longer some lie people want to accuse us of. It's official. Star Wars is the most returned toy brand. Here's an article from the New York Post. This holiday stinker gift includes some fashion flops and electronic fads that seem to have run their course. I'll spare you the fashion nonsense and get right down to the meat of it. Other unpopular toy aisle items include all things Star Wars, likely because the last movie came out in May, and other blockbuster hits like Black Panther and Aquaman have been more captivating. To quote my favorite pie-eating uncle, yeah. So let's look at that sentence a little closer. All things Star Wars. You know, it's funny. When I made our original Star Wars toy videos that showcased the glut of Star Wars merchandise, it was blamed on Toys R Us. Now that we've had a full Christmas season without Toys R Us here in the US, the news is worse. What makes it worse is the fact that people bought it thinking kids and adults wanted Star Wars, but then said kids and adults returned that shit in droves. You know, the whole Star Wars kids thing is an interesting topic. I feel like we should cover it.
Next time.
When I heard this interesting information, I decided to go on a little field trip for some research, and well, the results are exactly... okay, screw it, they're worse. Put your drinks down, it's Tico time. So here we are at my local Target, and there's the word most associated with Star Wars, clearance. So we got some ugly pieces of crap, and they're clearanced for $1.50. Whoop-de-doo, not a big deal. But let's keep on moving, because I think there's a theme. So Princess Leia, yes, even Princess Leia is on sale. There's our buddy Hux. Well, nobody likes Hux. To a him. Ah, there it is. Rose Tico. Almost 50% off, the biggest clearance here at the store. She's flanked by her sister Paige and two more Rose Ticos. You know, folks, Rose Tico has been out since 2017, and it's the beginning of 2019. When do we get admit failure with that toy? We had almost a whole row of Kiras and a Chewbacca that looks... ugh. But again, these figures aren't as deeply clearanced. Now, all Last Jedi stuff seems to be 50% off, as well as some Rogue One stuff. To be fair, that was part of the Last Jedi line, though. Force Link didn't really sell, but here's something from the Last Jedi toy line that appeared in The Force Awakens. Focus, damn it. Half price for the Raftar. Not even worth my time. Oh, another Rose Tico figure. Clearly, this set has more value. And whatever the hell these things are, I don't even know what I'm looking at this point. Now here's something interesting. This is called the Vintage Collection. It's aimed at older audiences due to the packaging and more articulated figures. And alas, there's nothing but new sequel trilogy era and Rogue One figures. It looks like the collectors aren't buying stuff based on the new Disney stuff. Solo Speeder. Wow. What a deal. And look at that Solo figure. He just looks so dead, so lifeless. That's Disney Star Wars for you, folks. Now, my way home, I went to my Walmart, and as you can see, the wrestling figures section was hit pretty hard. I mean, yeah, there are some figures left, but you can definitely tell this is post-holiday. It looks like Jurassic World's been picked over, and the Transformers are pretty picked over as well. But you know what's not picked over? You know what's full? Star Wars. As you can see here, we got lightsabers, both generic and licensed. We have more of the vintage figures, and hey, look, Snoke. What a find. But again, these are all with the exception of one original. Speaking of original figures, we got Luke and Darth Vader. I'll be talking about these more later, but these come from that new Galaxy of Adventure wave, which is a push for kids to get into the original Star Wars because for some reason, that is the only marketable Star Wars, and they're a whopping $9.84 a piece. That's kind of a hard sell. So I'm gonna walk over here and we're gonna see what else you can get for $9.84. Ah, there's Seth Rollins. Much respect. But no, we're gonna take the face of wrestling. Ugh, look at that face. John Cena. Looks like he's about to have a life-changing surgery. So as we come back into focus, let's do a quick comparison. Now this is a comparison of value for your money. So Star Wars, awesome at one point, but look what you get for $9.84. You can get a giant wrestling figure, or you get a little bitty Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber, which is cool. But I mean, as a kid, you want more. You want a bigger toy. So Luke Skywalker, you go chill with your daddy, and we're gonna see what else is here for the brand. Tobias Beckett. Ah, Ray. I'm surprised she's not sold out. People are lined up for her. Hashtag where's Ray? Hashtag there's Ray. Now this is cool, admittedly. An Imperial TIE Fighter. I mean, look at that box. Look at the scale of the figure. Look at that fucking price. $79 goddamn dollars. What? I like Star Wars a lot more than most people and would be willing to drop money if a different company owned Star Wars, but $80 for an Imperial TIE Fighter? I don't care that it says the vintage collection. $80? Who the hell's buying it? Not really anybody. I mean, there's plenty on the shelf, folks. If you need a TIE Fighter, come to my local Walmart. Now, what is on sale is Enfy's Nest. I'm surprised Enfy's Nest didn't sell well. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever from the greatest movie ever. Usually these videos end with me discussing the state of Star Wars over the title card, but it's 2019 and I'm upping my game across the board. Speaking of, let's play a little game. What's the opposite of up? Down. And that's exactly where Star Wars figure numbers are now. According to this information from Seeking Alpha, in decline are sell-through weights for Hasbro. Sell-through weights are an indicator of how well something sells, and remember, this data comes directly from the source at retailers who have the actual numbers on their desks. And Hasbro's sell-through weight declined by 21% for its action figures between November 25th, 2017 and November 25th, 2018. And since Hasbro said Marvel is growing, most of that declining sell-through weight must come from Star Wars. Remember, we are only talking action figures here, not frozen dolls, etc., which are their own category. Overall, the situation is not great for Hasbro at the moment. This could, of course, also be an indication that many fans resort to buying online. Brick and mortar is only one part of the picture. That being said, Hasbro has about 1/4 less shelf space for their action figures than 1 year ago. Sell-through weight, this includes e-tailers, however, is also declining for their action figures, and since Hasbro told us repeatedly this year that Marvel is growing, this can only mean one thing. Star Wars is having a difficult time at retail, and retailers therefore reduce shelf space for Star Wars action figures that fail to sell. The staggering number of Star Wars action figures and vehicles at stores such as Ollie's or Ross may be one consequence of all of this. On top of that, Hasbro is losing shelf space for Nerf and its fashion dolls, whereas MGA Entertainment with its Bratz dolls is storming shelf space. They have a whopping 114% more shelf space allocated for their dolls than 1 year ago. And since shelf space is a finite resource, that space must come from somewhere. And as it seems, it's mostly shelf space that was taken away from Hasbro, and to a much lesser degree, Mattel. So here we are now at the end of 2018. Star Wars had a veritable box office flop with Solo. The toy line is struggling with decreasing sales and retailers giving less shelf space to Star Wars action figures. In light of all this, it may not be a complete surprise that we haven't heard anything yet about an extension of the licensing agreement between Hasbro and Disney. My feeling is that Hasbro wants better terms. As things are now, Star Wars toys, especially action figures, are on the decline. But never forget, the toy market is volatile, and who knows, with Episode 9, The Mandalorian, the Cassian Andor series, and the Clone Wars, the ship may turn around again. Also, we may witness a shift to e-tailers away from brick and mortar for action figures aimed at an adult target demographic. Nevertheless, Disney and Lucasfilm have a very important job to do. They must heal the rift in the fandom that The Last Jedi tore open. They must win back the more casual and even the hardcore action figure collector, and they must do so with figures that not only look great, but also characters you want to have as action figures in the first place. And if not, I wouldn't be completely surprised if in 2020 some other company other than Hasbro will produce Star Wars toys. I sure don't hope so, because I think Hasbro is doing a great job, mostly given the material they have to work with and how Disney keeps things secret from them. Folks, this seems to be a running theme here, but the numbers don't lie,
and they spell disaster for you.
This was a very packed article. Let's take a closer look at a few key elements. Sell-through weights are an indication of how well something sells, and remember, this data comes directly from sources at retailers who have actual numbers on their desks. Let's stop with all this anecdotal nonsense out there, naysayers. In 2017, I was out there noticing the great Star Wars glut very early on. And then as this channel grew, people from all over the world were sending in their photos of their Star Wars glut. Hell, even in Canada, where Toys R Us still lives to disappoint another kid with Star Wars toys, there's a huge glut. Take a look at these photos from a listener. They were sent in right after Christmas. I'm seeing a lot of Rogue One stuff. I guess that's why Cassian Andor is getting his own show? Just for the record, the Rogue One figures, which are on clearance, dropped before holiday 2016, so they've been sitting there for over 2 years at this point. The toys with the red logo on them are from The Last Jedi, and I may be crazy, but it looks like I'm seeing quite a few Rose Tico figures. The newest stuff from Solo and the Vintage Collection aren't exactly new either, and here in the States, my local GameStop can't clearance Rey enough to get rid of that chick. But back to the article. Hasbro's sell-through weight declined by 21% for its action figures between November of 2017 and November of 2018. That's the same time period The Last Jedi was released in. Convenient. We may witness a shift to e-tailers away from brick and mortar for action figures aimed at an adult target demographic. So it sounds like the people that were keeping this big stream of revenue alive were old dudes. You know, even at 30, I fall into that category, so calm down, Gramps. But in all seriousness, the writing's on the wall, and the alienation is real. If only the leader of Star Wars could have said something to unify the community. Oh, what did she say? Sounds like somebody needs a sugar cube. While it sounds good for the PR department and the show websites galore that tout diversity above all else, it's kind of obvious this attitude shot Star Wars in the foot, and any time it's brought up, the It's for Kids defense arises. You know, I could cover that in its own video. Yeah, I think I will. Before we go, this little tidbit popped up over the break, and I think it's quite relevant. 2020 is the year Hasbro has to renew their Star Wars license, and there's rumblings that someone else may swoop in and buy it up. Mattel. We covered it earlier in the video, but this point is important. Mattel has been considered a takeover candidate for a long time now. Mattel's situation is not the best. Their stock prices dropped almost 40% in 2018. Hasbro stock fell by a little more than 11%. It was not an easy year for toy companies thanks to Toys R Us's demise, but Mattel has been in stormy waters for quite a while now, and they're really struggling in Europe and elsewhere. With Mattel's stock so low, a company such as Disney would not need to pay that much to actually take it over. So maybe Disney is the one party not wanting to extend the license, and they're still weighing all their options. One thing is certain, the Star Wars license will expire in 2020, and Hasbro will either keep the license or someone else will take it over. The transition can be relatively seamless. Everything Hasbro ever made for Star Wars, all the designs, molds, sculpts, and digital assets are property of Lucasfilm Disney. So what's your opinion on this situation? They can no longer deny that Star Wars action figures are dead. I think a part of the cognitive dissonance comes from denial. People just can't get over the fact that Star Wars is what it is, and bad characters don't sell merchandise. You know that guy, Paul, who runs Jedi Temple Archives, made a good point in the comments. Poor retail performance is not why Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is dead because licensees are making toys based on characters no one wants. All of the original trilogy stuff sells, the sequel trilogy does not. And he has a point, but this is the legacy that Kathleen Kennedy has chosen to leave behind. Poor characters with no development and directors who just don't get it. Luckily, the politics are in favor of old Cray Cray KK, and that's why she has a job. So originally this video was going to come out before the previous video, but the Disney financials dropped and I had to cover that, and it's been a huge success. So we had over 100,000 views in the first day, and that train just keeps chugging along. So to all the new listeners, welcome to the channel. I hope you take the time to go back and watch a lot of our Star Wars toy videos. It's kind of what we're known for, and I'm cool with it. People recognize me in public now as I film the damn things, and that's kind of cool. But let me know what you guys think of this situation. We got the official numbers. This is no longer speculation. We got the official numbers from the SEC filings from Disney themselves that Star Wars is down in the consumer products department. But people want to keep going on like Star Wars is so great and everything's fine in the land of Lucasfilm, but it's not. Movies down, toys down, video games non-existent. Now, the fourth quarter earnings for Hasbro will be out relatively soon, and I'll cover them in another video. I covered the last quarter earnings, and those percentages were down quite a bit as well. You can find that video here on the channel, and I'll try my best to put a link in the description for you guys. I just want to make it clear, though, for a lot of people out there, new and old to this channel, I don't take pleasure in watching Star Wars die, because Star Wars at one point was my favorite thing of all time. Nothing brought me more joy than watching the original trilogy. Then the prequels came out, and I still love the original trilogy, because they respected the lore for the most part of the original, didn't have too many contradictions, but at the end of the day, the story ended with Return of the Jedi at the logical endpoint, and Luke, Han, and Leia were all treated with respect. Then Disney came in, and they bastardized the original characters in service of bad new characters. No matter the gender, no matter the color, those new characters just aren't as strong, they're not as well developed. Then when you criticize, or question, or just flat out state your opinion, you're belittled, berated, and attacked by online critics, shills, and the worst part of all that, you got the director of that abortion known as The Last Jedi coming out and attacking the fans. You got Kathleen Kennedy throwing out the old guard under the bus. We don't need you. We're going to create Star Wars for the next generation. But it didn't work. So when you get the perfect storm of all that garbage constantly being shoved down your throat and the politicizing of Star Wars, well, then I'm happy to watch it go down the way it has been. Because we're not a small vocal minority. This is how a lot of people feel. Even if they're not involved in the politics, the trench warfare of the fandom menace, well, you know what? The people aren't watching Star Wars. Small vocal minority, my ass. Solo was a flop. Last Jedi made $750 million less. Excuse me, where are the people at? They didn't just disappear. Thanos didn't just snap his fingers and make them go away. No, they didn't. The whole toxic vocal minority is a convenient online distraction. It is a tool to deflect criticism and try to distract you from the current situation. But all of our videos, coupled with stuff like this, information like this, these aren't my opinions that Star Wars is going down the toilet. The numbers don't lie. And yes, I'll spare you the Scott Steiner quote this time. But they do show you a correlation between the quality of films and the overall consuming of said product. We'll have to see how episode 9 goes, as we see Star Wars continually decreases, and all of these decreases took place during episode 8, Solo: A Star Wars Story, and the big release for Star Wars Battlefront 2. So it makes me wonder what excuse could be said next. I'm waiting for the next big excuse. Of all the response to these videos, I'm just waiting for the next big excuse. Will it be our friends from Forbes? Will it be our friends from Esquire? I don't know who it's going to be, but you know someone's going to be coming out of the woodwork to try to claw these numbers and make it just disappear. But you can't. The numbers didn't lie, and they spelled disaster for Star Wars. So folks, thank you for watching this very long video. I appreciate everyone out there who is new to the channel, who's been with us since day one. We love you all the same. If you're a super fan of this channel, join our Patreon page. $1 a month goes a long way, but $5, which is only 17 cents a day, gets you exclusive access to digital content, a t-shirt at certain levels, and you get to appear on the show and dictate what we do. So this week we're going to be doing commentaries for our listeners. Some are fun, like Lethal Weapon 3. Some are bullshit, like Mother. But you know what? We're going to suffer because that's what you guys get when you join our Patreon page. But if you can't afford that, that's not a problem. Join our Facebook page. We got all kinds of great people over there. We're building the best community online. Why? Because we love entertainment, and we don't want to see it bastardized and ruined. We don't want to see it get flushed down the toilet for flash in the pan politics that really don't pan out, and then the only people that suffer are us. The only thing that suffers are the things we love. So get involved with us on social media, follow us, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, give us a thumbs up here on YouTube, and click your little bell notification to get all the newest content from world-class bullshitters. I'll be back later in the week with more, so as always folks, thank you for watching, and be excellent to each other.